Let's see. Looks like it's working, guys. So we have Simone's family. This is Simone. And last name is?
Kari.
Okay. And?
Richard Hall.
And Richard?
I'm Nick Hall. I'm Jimmy.
Hi Jimmy, nice to meet you guys. So you guys are all the way from Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, came to Park City. And how did you find us?
I just Googled permaculture in Utah.
I love it. I love it when you can be Googled. I've had a lot of students just Google me and show up at the gate right there. It's like, how did you find me? Oh, I Googled you in Utah County. It's kind of funny. So I love, and Nick, you said you're going to be going to Hawaii?
Yeah.
To a permaculture.
Yeah, well, it's an organic farm, yeah.
It's an organic farm, okay. All right, we have some of our organic farmers here in Utah that have gone back east to Virginia to Joel Salatin's and other. Yes, just really want to learn things like that.
Because he wrote a book, and we've gone to a talk by him.
Oh, that's exciting.
We bought some of his meat before.
Really?
Yep.
I love what he does. We got to teach all the farmers, because here in Utah, you guys, I don't know if you heard while you've been here, we're in a major drought, and from central all the way to southern Utah, it is literally 75% of Utah, the most, so there's like severe, extreme, and then what they call exceptional drought. We're in the exceptional. Oh, it's awful for those farmers. They literally ran out of water. I visited a couple of farmers just south of here, and they told me we didn't get the precipitation in the winter, it didn't freeze, and it really affected our crops. So
There's no snowpack. No,
there wasn't this year. No, we're getting warmer.
continuous, it's climate change, right?
It is, I don't care what people call it or who they want to blame it on at this point. I'm watching it and I'm getting concerned, and so I want to teach as many people as I can. Water harvesting, different things that work in the desert, the plants that work in the desert, so we can start preparing. That's all that matters at this point, right? Just do what we can and prepare. And in the meantime, instead of gloom and doom, I love to teach everybody about nature because I love nature. It's so beautiful. It's so powerful what it can do. The way it creates the most beautiful soil, right? And all the microbes down there feed the plants. So you got nutrient-dense food, you know? And that's just underneath the soil web life. And then you watch all the bees. I don't know if you've noticed, we've got all of our mints are really in bloom right now. So you take the time and look at the different kinds of varieties of bees. It's starting to get cooler, and so they're going to start going to bed. But just look around and see how many varieties of wasps and bees. I haven't even been able to count because there are so many different kinds. Isn't it wonderful?
So have you, you tried to do anything to manage the mint, or you just letting it go?
I let everything pretty much go except for touring through the garden. I do keep walkways, but someday it'd be nice to just let the forest do its thing, you know, and let it go. But this part is our Zone 1 kitchen garden, but it's an unusual kitchen garden. A lot of people still, even in permaculture, will grow in rows, and they'll have row of tomatoes, row of squash, row of peppers, row of all that. Well, I decided to make it a forest and test out to see if tomatoes and peppers could literally ripen and grow in this kind of environment. Hello there. Are you Liz?
I am.
Nice to see you again, Liz. I remember Liz. She came 2 years ago?
3 years ago.
3 years ago. Boy, it was a baby forest then, wasn't it?
I'm like, drove up and we're like,
It explodes even more every year, Liz. It's amazing, isn't it?
We thought, oh, this isn't the right neighborhood.
This wonderful family's all the way from Maryland visiting.
you were threatened when you first started it, didn't you? You didn't have dead chickens put in your yard and stuff?
Yeah, we did have somebody
People
that
weren't
had
happy
a
with her.
weird sense of humor, because all I did is I had this dead lawn that I was tired of wasting water on, and so I literally threw as many wood chips, which wasn't easy to get in Utah County, because the tree services don't want to give them away free like they do in Salt Lake. In Salt Lake, they're smart. Instead of paying a fee to dump it at the dump, they'll dump it in your driveway, anybody who wants it.
Yeah, we get that.
That's wonderful. And so what I had to do is get a trailer and truck and dump truck and everything I could get, go to Sandy, where two guys had a tree service parked on their property, and they had so many wood chips. And so we just literally covered all the lawn with wood chips out here. That's all we did. I didn't do cardboard, just wood chips about this tall, about 12 inches.
12 inches.
I did about 12 inches in here, and that was in the fall. I planted some perennials. We had 3 existing trees, an apricot tree I planted from a pit 13 years ago, and 2 peach trees. And then later I put in a plum tree, but it wasn't as old as the others. And that's all I had on all the wood chips. And then we put in the hugel beds that fall and planted onto those covered it with straw, cover cropped it, and then next spring, I literally came after 3 weeks of rain out here. I'd had pneumonia, and I had 8-foot tall daikon radish and everything else that I had planted around the poor perennials that are just tiny like this, and I couldn't believe. And then I didn't even have beehives back then. Now I let people keep a beehive here, the neighborhood bee people. They're really nice, Mark and Grant. And we had thousands and thousands and thousands of bees all over the white flowers of the daikon radish. I still, you'll see, have patches of daikon radish in here, but not all over the whole hugel beds. So
were
that
the
was.
wood chips green, or were they seasoned?
They're usually.
I mean, when you got them, had they been sitting around, or were they still kind of?
I think we get pretty fresh chips when we get them from tree services because they've just cut down the
Yeah.
trees and shredded it all.
And that's not an issue with what is it when you put green?
Not at all.
No.
No. So after that fall, in the spring, with all those cover crops that we chopped and dropped, I looked at the soil, which used to be the sandiest soil and water go right through it. And I had this black rich gold filled with red wigglers, fungi everywhere. And I was like, wow, I love what wood chips do. It's amazing. Plus the hugel beds too, you know. So that was our first experience in this demonstration garden. And then every year I've learned different things. I wanted a forest as fast as I could get it. So I kind of coined this new phrase, quick growing shade. And that's what you see, these sunflowers. First year we tested out was just sunflowers, but I noticed that they weren't really the most, manageable. They love to fall down. They get really tall, they fall down. And so then somebody had brought me to a hugel bed I tested 6 years ago in my backyard, tons of sunchokes. So you know what I did?
Sunchokes?
I did sunchokes for shade. Oh, I've got a lady who's got a walnut tree she wants me to dig out. We rescue so many trees. Everywhere we can get free shrubs and trees, as old as 10 years old, we've successfully transplanted them. So that's been really nice. Oh, yeah. It's amazing. You'll see them on KSL. And then orchards will call you and say, oh, we're going to bulldoze all this if you want to come get some of these trees. So my students and I will go get trees. Because you're saving years of growth, you know. Not every tree like this white willow that's, believe it or not, going to be 4 years old in October, grow that fast. But that guy grew so fast. And I want to take you guys, we'll just walk very carefully. It's very tight right now in the kitchen garden, but you really have to feel it to experience what happens when you have filtered light, okay? It creates a microclimate. I noticed it when I had the sunflowers already the first summer. I had lettuce that didn't bolt. I had taro root. I had turmeric. This year, last summer, we added curry right there, okay? So we try all sorts of different things to see if this filtered light that's created by these sunchokes. And what we do, I taught my students, we cut a lot of it out in the early spring, then we planted into it the annual crops. We had cut the cover crops, put them in there to feed the microbes. We inoculate, mycorrhizal as well as bacteria. And then we make sure they have some shade and something to climb. And so you can see the cucumber is really enjoying climbing right here, okay, up the sunchoke. But we still have filtered light until these trees like the mulberry here, this is going to be a shorter understory tree. We've got another apple over there. Until they get bigger, and we've got an understory, it's called a Padawawa plum. It's an heirloom or American plum that's native in Utah. Comes from the Reclamation Nursery. We try to do a lot of natives. I actually had to do a database of all the native plants of Utah that would grow here. Edible, beneficial, everything. And so we did a database of that, and we tried to put them all in this garden along with the annuals. So you can see they're doing fine. Okay, we've got peppers we're still picking here. This year everything ripened a month early. I don't know if anybody else told you about that, but we had a really warm winter and spring, early spring. And so everything bloomed a month early, everything produced a month early, and so it's been amazing. But you can see everything in here, watch out for the little taro root down there, is really, really happy. The peppers, are ripening in there. You can see the beautiful horseradish that comes back every year. I've got gingers that come back every year right here. Isn't that wonderful?
Harvest from the root?
We can harvest the roots.
That's ginger, huh?
That's ginger right there. Isn't that beautiful? Along with tomatoes next door, with the horseradish there, more tomatoes, peppers over there. And see the sunchokes, I strategically cut out what I don't want. And then they try to grow back, but it's real simple. I'm always giving tons of these away. But, you know, you can just chop and drop whatever you don't want if you feel like it's invasive too much, because I got some beans that would like to grow down there. So we just do different things. That is our parsley that comes back every year and was really doing well in the spring. Now I'm letting it go to seed to collect all the seeds. Once they're dry like this, I'll harvest all the seeds. So we're constantly at different phases of life in here, you know. It's really wonderful. But come through here very carefully. As you see, all the grapevines are very loaded all through here. Got lots of those. And just kind of duck under this little grapevine. We've got nice little cherry tomatoes on your left here, so be careful. So this year I did, because I didn't last year, and that saved a lot more fruit. Yeah.
I find as the years go by, the birds become aware that you're
Except it's a good thing that you have this much coverage. It confuses them. Not only confusing the bugs, so like you could have grasshoppers and don't worry about it because they like to eat certain leaves, but you've got so much that they get confused and they don't even bother your vegetable plants. So I don't worry about that. Even the birds get confused in here. They don't know what's what. There's too much going on. And the deer are scared to death to come in here because it's too busy, you know, so they won't come in. And so what we do is I do a lot of experiments in here to see how much shade, how much light do I let in, and how well do these, like there's a watermelon here, a little watermelon right there growing, okay. It's a little slower. Our tomatoes seem to be doing okay. We've got a lot of heirloom tomatoes. We've got more peppers. We've got squash plants in here. And we're trying to see how much light, filtered light, can they handle. So far, I mean, they still produce. You can see this beautiful squash right here. He's still producing, you know. He's got some pretty yellow little squash on him, and he's growing new ones here. So they seem to be doing okay. We left to plant root crops, as you saw, the ginger and everything. So we put in heirloom from the farmer's market, leeks and beets and everything, and then we grow the greens.
We have a very dry climate here, though.
Very dry.
Yeah.
But the moisture that is created in here, as well as 15 degrees cooler, because of the forest, makes a microclimate very different.
Yeah, but I'm wondering, the east where we have such a humid climate,
You have
whether
such humidity.
Be too much moisture.
Well, then you're going to have to look at what Daniel Halsey does in Minnesota and other places, and Vermont. Look at Ben Falk and all these people so that you can see what is working in their climate. I can only speak for what I've done 4 years in this climate to help people in this desert.
Yeah.
And for you guys, you're going to have to study your native plants and your region and people that are doing it with that much rainfall and what works, you see?
Yeah, we had like 3 weeks of drought.
Oh, really?
Way too much rain. My God.
And then deluge. Yeah, that's really hard on the plants. I remember being in New York State on the west coast, the west side of the state, and boy, they had everything flooded one summer. All their crops, everything got flooded. But see, even here where we have really, really filtered light, come down here, Liz. I want you guys to feel what it feels like in here.
No, it's nice and cool.
Isn't it heaven compared to being out there? And look, does it affect the grapes? Look at the size of those thornless blackberries on those vines. Is that crazy? I know. Are they nuts? Some of them were 3 inches long. I took them to the farmer's market downtown Salt Lake, and all my little berry growers from Logan and everywhere else, they're like, how did you grow them so big? I said, I don't know. It just happens. It just happens in here. How do you get comfrey so big? How do you get peaches 4 inches and so juicy? I don't know. It just happens. Let nature go to work and it'll do it, right? So that's a comfrey, but that's a tiny comfrey. When we get into the major food forest, you're going to see. But this is what I love, is creating this kind of effect and seeing if I can grow the perennials as well as some vegetables. My greens love it. They don't bolt because it's cooler in here. It's not that heat, and there's the moisture. So the ginger, the turmeric, the taro, all those kinds of plants really like it in this environment. So that's been a really fun thing to see.
That's a big problem I find with our lettuce and green crops. You'll have one really hot day and it bolts.
And it bolts. Cilantro. Yes, I know. So this has made a real difference. I couldn't wait to have this because Liz saw it, you know, what it was like before. It was so hot and there was no shade. I started seeking out shade. I know, I let all the grapes grow through all the trees. It's fun.
They're so big.
I know. Do you see? Isn't that fun? We have so many birds that love it here all year long. It's really fun.
What is this one?
So this was a rescued crabapple that I wanted some quick shade. So I started collecting trees just for shade, you know. But I like it. It's a beautiful tree. And it is edible if you just get a recipe with lots of sugar. You can do something with crab apples. It's amazing. Red currants are the same thing. Needs lots of sugar. But my black currants, let them shrivel up and dry. And they're like so huge this year. I don't know what happened this year. It's not just here. I noticed at the farmer's market, some of the other people said, yes, our apricots were huge this year.
So weird.
Yeah, something different happened. And so everything this year was huge as far as fruit. But isn't it fun to see these amazing blackberries? So everybody's been coming here and I've been digging out any stray thornless blackberry plants because they all want them. They saw those and they're like, we want those. But wait, we're going to go taste some wild blackberries as well. Because we got the wild ones. So we're going to go back this way, yes. It's a dead end, unfortunately, here.